Ending it. Hey there, we're starting the recording, and we're going to also start the recording on Facebook. And here we go. We're going live. 3, 2, 1. And hey, everybody. This is Aryeh, where we are in number 6 of Creation Care. And we have 6 people here, which is amazing. That's so cool. We're like in 7, maybe we'll have 7 people. We'll see. Let's keep growing every day. Today, we're going to be talking about holy air quality and thinking about what does it mean to have clean air? Is it just physically like I want to have clean air? Is there something spiritual to being in an environment with pure air? So let's dive in. Let's talk. Just share your name and what does it mean for you to have clean air? Does someone want to start us off?
Start. Well, to me, clean air ties into everything as far as creation is concerned. I think that every human being and creature on the planet is entitled to clean air, water, etc. And the thing about what we might take advantage of is that we can't see unless it's absolute visible pollution. Maybe we could be breathing in stuff that we're not even aware of that could be bad for us. And it is our obligation, both spiritual and physical, naturally, to make sure that we have clean air for the whole planet. Now, I was a little bit surprised when I was reading the segment that Israel was high as far as the Western European nations in their air pollution. I was surprised by that. Could you fill us in a little bit as to why that is?
Yeah, Lisa lived near Haifa, which I think has some of the worst air problem issues. Maybe you want to share, Lisa?
Were you saying that it's just as high as other European countries?
Well, when I was reading the Eco Bible, that section, it said that compared to the Western European nations, Israel was the highest, and I was surprised by that.
I think it's to do with the density. It's a very tiny, very, very, very small, dense country. With a high population. It's the same size as Wales, where there's only 3 million people living, and Israel has about 11 million, and nearly everyone has a car. So, as well as industry, we have a tiny country with a lot of transport pollution.
So is Israel moving toward maybe electric vehicles or anything like that, or?
Yeah, I think the buses are already moving to, and there are cars. I'm in the city I live, which is one very environmentally aware city. There are a lot of, electric points for cars, so which are being used more
Okay,
and more.
that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But we do have big industry, in Haifa port, energy, and Haifa is one of the cities that is actually very polluted and has affected the health of the people living there. You can see the exact correlation between the wind and the pollution and the health. So as you say, we can't always see it, but it has a huge impact.
Yeah, I myself, I live in the suburban environment. I'm easily an hour away from any city, but I still feel that I need to do my part. Like I'm only a few miles away from the Atlantic Ocean. So the air down here is probably, you could smell the salt air, but we still are polluting the air when we're driving a car. And I don't know whether when you're reading the news, our own postal service is procuring another 150,000 vehicles, and they're still gas powered, even though the EPA and everybody pleaded with them to buy electric vehicles, and they're still being bullheaded. I don't know. This is what we have to deal with, the politics involved. So we have to keep doing our push as a citizen, not only of my country, but of the earth. So.
100%. Hey, Chris, welcome.
Chris just gave a talk in another organization. So. Well done, Chris.
Amazing. Chris, we're sharing about what comes up for us, what we think about air, having clean air. Maybe you want to share about what your perspectives on clean air are, and if you want to share also about what your talk was on, we'd love to hear.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Liz, Anne, and Harry, and Ajo Edu Foundation. So that's great. So thank you for, I'm so sorry that I came late. I was in another talk. So I was having a lot of issues. The talk started very late because I was having a whole lot of issues with my internet. But finally, just had a very short period for me to make an impact. So it was just about eco-consciousness, which is still part of what we are also doing in this talk every Wednesday. So it was a period for us to really look at the issue of separateness that we are having in our society today and see ways we can wake up from our illusion of separateness and come back to consciousness of this beautiful planet that God has given to us to take good care of.
Beautiful. And what do you think about ecological consciousness and air quality? Do you see a connection there as well?
Yeah, ecological consciousness. It's I put it as a state of being aware of the natural environment. And over the years, we've seen that due to the rise of pollution, fossil fuels and all that, air qualities in our cities have really been so bad, and it has really depleted over the years. I come from a community close to the Niger Delta area, and virtually every time we see things called soot coming out from the atmosphere. But the thing there is that people already know this is what it comes from, but they don't, this is what causes it, but they actually don't know what and why this is happening. So the why is the main reason, because we as, of course, conscious people, we know why it's happening. We already know that it's the cause of fossil fuels and the cause of relying on all this. And also, if we can really continue to make people aware of the implications of air quality, of the air pollution in our different communities, in our different walks of life, people can be able to add more voices to it, and we can see it becoming so large. For example, when you come to my community here, we see women who still use firewood to cook. Yes.
I think he's frozen.
And so many of, I'm back, and so many of that. So we still have a whole lot of work to do in inspiring ecological consciousness for people to be aware of what their air quality is and how we can be able to mitigate against it.
Amazing, thank you. Thanks for giving that talk over in a nutshell. Really appreciate it. And Lisa, do you want to share about your thoughts about clean air?
Yeah, I've been actually involved with the environment movement for so long, but over the past few years, because of Corona, I really suddenly see air as a very spiritual thing that connects all of us all over the world, and nature as well. We all are breathing in and breathing out this same air, and it's, as you said before, Anne, that we can't see it. It's something magical. We don't know if we're breathing in corona or we're breathing out, and we don't know if our breath comes in and someone breathed it over in Asia before that. it's the same air going round all the time, and it's just, to me, it's suddenly become very magical over the past few years, or spiritual, and how we're all completely connected. And I think it's very symbolic, that we're connected through air, not only humans but also nature. So recently became a bigger issue to me.
Lisa, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because I'm sure everyone has seen the videos, especially during the pandemic, like cities in China and other places that used to be very polluted. And because people were on the lockdown, all of a sudden you could see the whole city and beyond and the horizon. And it actually showed what humans were literally doing to the environment. And well, not just the air, but like in Venice, how the canals there were filled with more fish. It was just beautiful to see. And I really took another look at the world around me because of that. I'm glad you brought up the about the corona and stuff like that and what it did. Thank you.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm Liz. I founded the Laudato Si Facebook group that a few of us belong to. One of the things that we often repeat is to be thankful at all times. It's saying, and from our Bible, be thankful no matter what. It's hard to be thankful during the pandemic, but we have that. I just saw a post that Zoom has in itself saved us from more air pollution than the electric cars all put together. Don't know if that's true, but it has changed our lives. I don't think we're going to go back to the pre-Zoom times. Not only can we dialogue with people across the planet easily, but it saves energy locally and unwanted costs and trouble, and has made our life so much more convenient. And I think that's a good thing. It has given us time to do things that we want to do on our own rather than spending hours in traffic.
Amazing, thank you. And really appreciate what everyone's sharing, and seeing the blessings, that can be hard to see. Air, which ideally is impossible to see. When you can see the air, it's full of smoke, then you know you're in trouble. Harry, would you like to share about your thoughts about clean air?
Yeah, I think it's one of the most important forms of pollution to address, because while it is like Lisa was saying, very magical, very spiritual and ephemeral, it's also one of the first things you notice when you go to an environment, really. Because like if you go out into nature, away from the city, like driving in, the beauty might get you, but what I feel like, for me at least, what really always gets me is when I get the first breath of air and sort of come to a more I guess a more present understanding of the place I'm in through the air. And I don't know, because I think it is both very ephemeral and both very apparent at the same time. And also, of course, poor air quality leads to poor health, and there's really no escaping that if you're living in a place with poor air quality.
100%. Thank you, Harry, and thanks for bringing that piece about cities and air. And I think we'll have a few minutes. We can look at think about that in context of Israel and Jerusalem, as we're bringing up, like, Israel is supposed to be leading the world, and if you read Ecobible, you think Israel must be doing so great, but we also have a long way to go. But we hope all of us, and each one of us in our cities can be helping to make things cleaner, make things better. That's part of why we're here. John and Adel, is it Adeline or Adeline? Do you guys want to share? Do you want to put in the chat if your connection's not strong, with whatever's good for you? John?
Yes, thank you once more. Thank you. Yes, I'm glad. Yes, maybe that I have to put off my video to boost my internet strength. Yes, so the topic is so great, because On the other hand, we look into also the Christian activities. For example, most of the Kenyan life of Christian or the Christian lineage is like, it is more of a Pentecostal ministry, at the moment, you see, the spring of the Pentecostal ministry. And now you might find that a church is only two meters from one another in the cities, you see, 2 meters, 1 meter, and each is the volume of the sound system, you see. So that is also another maybe environmental pollution within the worship areas, you see. So we realize that most of the times, even what is happening in the next church corridor might not be heard well in there. So there is that interference of the ecosystem with a lot of instrumentals within the church system, you see. So that is also another funny part of it. And generally in Kenya, we realize that, for example, the big cities like the Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, where am I now, is much polluted as compared to the rural cities, which are far from the center, simply because there is a lot of urbanization programs in the city and a lot of industrialization things over here. So in the suburbs, whereby the poor live, is more polluted. For example, the housing unit to cater for the more population which is coming in the city, as opposed to people think that there are jobs in the city. Yet you realize that the kind of housing that some people are living in the city are more even poor than a mud house in the village, you see. Yet the environment within the streets in the city, sometimes they're more dirtier as compared to a person who is living in a mud-thatched house in the village, which is living in a comfortable environment, which is free from pollutions. And that is even let us say, even the kind of food we eat in the city. For example, in the city like ours, most of the irrigation system is from the sewage system, you see. So you realize that the vegetable might look very green and healthy and fabby, you see, fresh and attractive, but yet all the irrigation system are mostly from that polluted sewage system in the city. So we realize that the kind of the food that you are eating in the city, for example, in the city of Nairobi or the suburbs, most of them are not as clean as compared to the rural settings, simply because most of the gardeners in the city, or some of them, are irrigated by the sewage system. Some of them are untreated, you see. So our daily food consumptions, I can do say for sure, it is at a risk. Mostly people in the big cities, for example, the city of Nairobi. Yes, and that one can be very detrimental, because we realize that there are some diseases which are related to lifestyle. And this lifestyle, for example, the urbanization lifestyle, they're mostly affecting the town people. For example, the cancer disease, which is related to, for example, the heavy metals. The heavy metals which are polluting the sewage systems in the town, you see, and the same water is being used for irrigation. And this is really at a risk of the people living in the city. So we think that you are in the biggest city or the largest city of the country, yet health-wise, we are really dying most. We are really doing more harm, or we are at risk than those people in the rural setting, which might not be so much exposed to that environmental situation, and that it is. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Adeline there? Does she want to share?
Come again?
Is Adeline there, or Adeline? It says John and Adeline.
Yeah, she's just a step up of 1 minute, but she's back in 1 minute again.
Maybe in the meantime, if Edward wants to share. Edward, welcome. Thanks so much for coming. We're sharing about our thoughts on clean air. Edward, would you like to share?
No, thanks.
All right, that's totally fine. And welcome. Thanks for coming. We have about 4 minutes left. So I just want to share. Is Alan there, or should we? No, let's share from something from EcoBow just to. Oh, okay. We're going to share something from EcoBow. So I'm going to share my screen, and what I wanted us to look at is about air quality. So, so now I'm sorry, I didn't prep it beforehand. In my defense, I have COVID, so I'm not on my top game.
Oh, no.
But it's okay. Thank God we're on the mend. My wife and I caught it, and we've been quarantine buddies, and we're doing okay now. We were feverish, but now we're doing better. So yeah. But I'll just share off the top of my head what was. Thank you. What was being discussed in that piece that I share with you all is about this concept of air quality, and exactly like John was saying, that in the city, the air quality can often be a lot worse. And it's also like this painful tension of thinking about, certain cities like Jerusalem, holy cities are supposed to have the best, cleanest air, and they can end up being the most polluted. And John was also bringing up, water pollution. Thinking about also the Ganges. The Ganges is supposed to be the holiest river. So shouldn't it also be the cleanest river? Instead, it's filled with a lot of, like dead bodies and paint from idols that were dipped in the water, toxic paints. So I feel like there's a lot of tension here between this ideal that we have of holiness and the reality, which can be much worse. If everyone wants to live in the holiest city, and everyone living in the holy city means everyone driving around in gas guzzlers and creating pollution all these different ways, then how are we going to have clean air? So I want to end with that question. We have about 2 minutes left. People want to weigh in. How do we bring? Can we bridge holiness and cleanliness? Is that a natural combination, or do they have to be in tension? Because right now it feels like we're in tension, unfortunately.
Well, things can be overwhelming. We can't solve the problem of dirty air in Jerusalem or any other city ourselves, but we can do small things that make a big impact. I just listened to a podcast this morning about sunscreen and how not only, big surprise, it's killing fish, but it's actually hurting our own body. And so when we choose an environmentally safe thing or advocate that a company creates environmentally safe products, we're also helping ourselves on an individual level, and everything adds up. All our little choices have made bad impacts on the environment. Now, all our little choices can in turn make good impacts on our environment.
If I could just add quickly the connection that I see, I've always seen for years that I've worked in the environment field that it was always taken as a political issue. And I think if we want to connect it to holy places, we need religious people to take it on as a very important issue. And that's why I'm at the ICSD, because I finally found religious people who see it as an important topic that has to be dealt with, and that it's our topic. And if 80% of the world believe in God, and God gave us the world, doesn't matter how they believe, or we're not interested in that, but if 80% have that belief, then we don't have this political barrier. So if the religious people led the way forward, I really do think that we could start with religious places, rivers, cities, air, and really make a move forward to clean it all up.
Yeah, we hear all the time about the religious leaders should stay out of politics, but it's all interwoven as far as I'm concerned. We really shouldn't be separating the two, especially in the care for creation and in our common home. we all share this planet, and I think that politics should stay out of it altogether, if you ask me.
Me too. Well, I didn't succeed, that's for sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I think Mace raised some incredible points, and thinking about how we can really improve air in our own lives and through our own actions, and also partnering with other religious people and thinking about this as a religious issue, thinking about our cities as holy, and we want to protect the air quality for ourselves and for our neighbors and for our children. I really appreciate everything that everyone brought, and welcome Edward for coming for the first time. We'll meet back here next week, God willing, at the same time, same place. And thank you all so much. Hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Bye.